Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the To Leadership Toledo's Community Leadership Series on this beautiful snowy day. I hope everybody is staying nice and warm and cozy inside and as excited as we are for our conversation today with Wendi Huntley from Connecting Kids to Meals. I'd like to thank the First Energy Foundation for their generous sponsoring of this series. We've had a lot of really great conversations with the Community Leadership Series, and I know that today is going to be great as well. Let's get started, shall we? I'm gonna tell you all a little bit about Wendi. Wendi Huntley serves as the president for Connecting Kids to Meals Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that provides hot, nutritious meals at no cost to kids in low income and underserved areas of our region. The organization partners with schools, libraries, community centers, after school programs, homeless shelters, and other places where kids gather. Wendi is responsible for leading the organization and also handles all fundraising, community engagement, marketing, and brand management initiatives. Connecting Kids to Meals provides about 500,000 healthy meals to kids each year and has been doing this community work for over 17 years. Wendi is not just knowledgeable about nonprofit management, but also is an accomplished attorney. She brings nearly 30 years of experience in corporate, litigation, intellectual property, sports, and entertainment law. While in Columbus, she worked for Bricker and Eckler LLP for 12 years. She has her own firm, the SBC Group, with clients across the US. In addition to her legal background, she has over 13 years of nonprofit management. She has rendered consulting services for nonprofit, for-profit, and faith-based organizations in matters involving infrastructure, business development, procedural, and systematic enhancements. Wendi was born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. She is a graduate of Notre Dame Academy, earned her bachelor's degree from Bowling Green State University and her Juris Doctorate from the Ohio State College of Law, located in Columbus, Ohio. Wendi is very active in the community volunteering, as well as serving at her church, Second Baptist Church. Wendi's accomplishments have been recognized widely as she was named a 2020 recipient of the YWCA of Greater Northwest Ohio Milestones Award, and recently an Outstanding Community Responder COVID-19 by the Association of Fundraising Professionals of Northwest Ohio, and a Touchstone Contributor Award by the Press Club of Toledo, just to name a few. Ms. Huntley serves as the chair of the Hope Toledo Board and is a member of the Board of Directors for Partners in Education, Mercy Health, Mobile Meals, Cardinal Church Catholic High School and Academy, and the City of Toledo's Tax Appeals Board, and Hires Christian Center Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. Whew. Hello, Wendi. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me in to join this conversation and to participate.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Everyone, if you have questions as we're going through the thing today, please feel free to throw them in the chat, whether if you're here with us on Zoom or on Facebook, and we'll make sure those get over to Wendi. But today I thought we might start, as you guys are thinking of questions, I thought we might start just with talking about connecting kids to meals. Would you mind telling us a little bit about the role it plays in our community and kind of the background, how it got going and all of that?
Yeah, I'm so honored and privileged to lead this organization, Connecting Kids to Meals. We've been feeding kids for almost 18 years, actually 18 years at this point. And, what we do is we use our expertise of federal child nutrition programs in order to draw down reimbursements to help make sure that meals are free for kids. We partner with, schools and after school programs and summer sites and, community centers. Pretty much so anywhere where kids are gathering, we want to make sure that they have the fuel, the food that they need, the nutritious meals, in order to maximize participation in educational enrichment or even fun activities or even sports activities. And so we know the importance of food and making sure that kids are fully fueled up so that they can take full advantage of those great opportunities that are being provided by some quality organizations and programs here in our community. And so we do this work year round. Right now, we're in the midst of our after-school meal program. We're providing about a couple thousand meals a day out of our kitchen downtown, located in the Life Revitalization Center. About 5 years ago, we built a new state-of-the-art kitchen with Cherry Street Mission Ministries in order to increase the capacity of both organizations, and it has done that. We have absolutely increased our capacity and reached even more kids in need. And then during the summer months, that's really our flagship program, where we actually operate our summer meal program, and we partner with nearly 150 partners around the region. And we make sure, again, it's more important when school, the last school bell rings and kids are out of school, and we have so many kids that rely on school meals. So when school's out, parents are carrying that additional load, and we want to step alongside of them and make sure that we can provide as much support as possible. That's what the programs are here to do. And so, in the summer months, we're doing anywhere from 5,000-6,000 meals a day out of our kitchen area, and distributing those all throughout sites as far away as sometimes Findlay, as far away as, Fremont. We're out in Spencer Township. We're out in Oregon, Rossford, North Baltimore, you name it. We are here to partner with as many folks that need the support as possible.
That's remarkable. I don't think I knew you guys had such a large reach outside of our metro area. That's really amazing. If an organization is listening today and they're like, hey, wait, that seems like a good partnership. How do I get in on that? Do they just email you? Is there someone on your team? What does that look like, the first step?
Sure. I'm always available. You can always email me at Wendi, Wendi, at connectingkidstomeals.org. Visit our website. Our program coordinator's name is Victoria Sims, and she can absolutely get you the paperwork that you need, get you onboarded. If you want to do meals one day a week, you want to do meals every day a week, that's fine. We are here to support whatever you're doing as it relates to the programming. And so we do offer meals Monday through Friday. And then on Fridays, we also distribute a weekend bag, thanks to some of our various generous, sponsors and supporters that we have around the community. And we make sure that kids have access to, healthy breakfast and lunch items, which are all staple items that they take home with them on Fridays. And so getting associated with us and partnering with us is not a difficult process. There is a little bit of work involved. Obviously, we're asking you to track the meals and let us know what's happening, how many kids are there, et cetera. But it's really simple, it's really straightforward, and it's really worthwhile. And most importantly, it helps our partners to, conserve their resources and reinvest those into other areas, such as hiring additional staff, buying new program materials, or expanding their reach in order to get even more kids involved. So, we're really excited about the programs and the partnerships, and just being there during out of school time when a lot of kids need it the most.
Yeah, that's to think about what you could do with your capacity if you were able to partner with another organization. We have so many great organizations here in town, and I love every time we talk to somebody, they're like, yeah, we partner with A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And it's just amazing how great Toledo is in that sense, community-wise.
Absolutely. And let me make one quick, Nicole, let me jump in one more, because I'm not sure that people know the extent of the issue that we're talking about. So when we talk about,
can you speak to that?
Yeah, when we talk about childhood hunger, a lot of times it's just not spoken about. And we talk about food insecurity. Before the pandemic, we had a significant problem in our community. And when I roll out some of these stats, I think you'll understand why. We have over 60,000 students that qualify for free and reduced meals at schools in Lucas County. We have nearly 40% of our kids that live in poverty. And 1 in every 4 kids faces hunger. I think about the impact of all of those statistics. And so it brings our work front and center. And when you think of the fact that the first year of the pandemic, prior to the pandemic, we served 500,000 meals. That first year of the pandemic, we served 875,000. And then just last year served 776,000. And we're on track for those same numbers again this year. And so, when people are like, really, is there a childhood hunger issue going on in our community? Absolutely. We have a serious problem. And the reason it's important for us to make sure that we break down those barriers to access meals for kids is because Kids that lack nutrition, this is what research tells us. Kids that lack the regular nutrition that their bodies and their minds need, they're going to face academic, behavioral, and health-related issues. In other words, they're not going to be able to achieve the success that they really otherwise could if they just had access to healthy meals. So it's important, and I want to make sure that people know that these stats are pre-pandemic. So it's worse. It's worse at this point.
That's astonishing to think of. I think sometimes we're in our own we can get caught in our own bubble and we don't totally understand the vastness of what's happening in our community.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And we're grateful because, we have some, number one, let me stop and say, my staff, I know everybody thinks their staff is amazing. My staff is amazing. I have some of the most dedicated individuals who really care about kids. I'm telling you, we all struggled when school closed, yesterday and today, and the libraries and other businesses closed. We struggled and we were just like, how can we still need to do this? So I have people that have a heart to help and to really try to make sure that, kids don't lack access. And so, my team vacillates from anywhere around 50 people right now to anywhere around 100, maybe 110 folks in the summer months when, the need is even greater. And some of those folks are on, are on site, and then others just go to the sites. We deliver the meals there and they help us serve the meals at the sites. And so we have a great wide range of folks, from seasoned individuals to all the way down to, our participation in the Harbor Summer Youth Program and UTMC's, community program, in order to make sure that their medical residents get exposed to what's happening in our community. So we really enjoy the things that we do and the work that we're bringing forth to the community.
I think about 800, 700, 800,000 meals, and you're doing that with, you're like, oh, we maybe have 50 or 100 people. That still doesn't feel like enough people to get all those meals to all the kids. And especially when we're having this inclement weather and you can't rely on meeting them at the school or meeting them at the library or the community center, whatever is closed. How did you guys problem solve that this week? What does that look like, problem solving that?
We weren't able to problem solve it this week because of the weather. So,
Sure.
Everyone has, the concerns about, residents in the community being safe and being at home and not being on the roads. We have those same concerns. And so it was a difficult call, but we made that call. But, out of every situation, there's always a silver lining if you're willing to look for it. And so my group got together and they said, look, what can we do in the future? Because we do live in Ohio. How can we do this? And so we're working on
snow again.
We're working on some solutions. And, there are some folks, they're like, look, I have 4-wheel drive. Snow does not stop me unless it's like a level 3. If I'm needed, I can be there. And so we're working on some things for, the near future where when we're faced with these challenges, we won't be completely shut down. We'll still be able to have a few sites located in strategic places where kids can actually still access meals if it's safe.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love it. I love that you're just not like, okay, it's snowed, we'll be home today. You're like, no, there's a problem that we need to, it's going to snow. We live in Ohio. This is going to happen again.
That's
Kids
right.
still are hungry on snow days, right?
Absolutely.
This feels like a natural time to talk a little bit about what the last couple of years with COVID have looked like for you guys. I know you guys pivoted really quick. I wonder if you can maybe speak to some of, historically, what's that look like the last couple of years?
I'm really fortunate. Again, I have an amazing set of staff members, and because we are so proficient in this space, when school closed March of 2020, we started thinking about what do we typically do in the summer. Now, the challenge has been we partner with others who are doing programming in particular locations, whether it's, city parks, whether it's our Boys and Girls Clubs, whether it's at our libraries. And so when everything shut down, we were outside. We marketed, we promoted, we took our vans and we just said, drive by. grab and go meals are available. Come and get meals if you are, facing a need, because that shift, again, just like when school is closed for the inclement weather, parents aren't prepared for that. And so it's kind of a surprise. And so I think of the single parent with, two boys and a girl, growing kids who eat nonstop, and they're not prepared for this. And so, money is already tight. So a lot of times people, will say to me, why aren't the parents feeding their kids? And I think that's a valid question, but I don't think there's an understanding that we have a lot of unemployed individuals in our community. But more importantly, we have a lot of underemployed individuals in our community who are just trying to make ends meet. And so they're making decisions between paying rent, utilities, gas in their cars, paying for insurance, and then also meals for families. And so it becomes a very difficult juggling act. And so I just, my mantra right now is just that, we need to increase our level of compassion. We may not be in those scenarios. We may not even know folks in those scenarios, but we need to recognize that it's real, and parents are they are trying, and they're working hard. Now, in every scenario, is it 100%? Probably not. But in every scenario, you're going to have some folks who may not be doing all of the things 100% correctly. But by and large, we find parents are absolutely sacrificing and working to make sure that their kids are getting everything that they need, including food. And so we're there to just help support that effort. And so when the pandemic hit, it required everyone to pivot, right? So our school systems closed. Some set up sites where people could drive through. But we knew, because we're in this business all the time, we knew we needed some additional sites. And so while the schools had some of their school buildings open, we opened some other centrally located places for some of the, folks that really needed to help at that time from a transition perspective. And so, from that point forward, our organization made sure we were in constant contact with the Ohio Department of Education, which is our oversight agency for these federal programs, and just did whatever we needed to do. But here's the interesting and fun thing, Nicole, you create a reputation by the work that you're doing, right? We started out like with everyone. We didn't know what was going on. And initially, if we can all take a moment and think back, schools were closed for 3 weeks. And so our schools were providing sandwiches and cold items, right? Shelf-stable items. We just started doing the same thing until our partner sites were like, this is not the CKM way. You guys provide hot meals. So we're going to need you to figure out how to get hot meals for us. And so, my staff shifted and changed, and we talked about how we could do this. And of course, at the same time, in our facility, in our warehouse, in our kitchen, we're having to wear our PPE. We're having to socially distant. We're having to take our time to make sure that every single item is prepackaged. And so we had to increase food costs and all of that because of safety. But I'm so grateful, that we have such a great staff, and we had, some volunteers that continued to come in, starting with the pandemic, to help us pack meals. And we were able to partner with USDA to even provide about 10,300 family food boxes during that summer of 2020. And it was a lot. I asked a lot of my staff, but we needed to do a lot. And so coming through that, we've learned a lot. We've incorporated some of these things. They just have become things that we're going to continue to do, whether or not we're in the midst of a pandemic or not. And so we shifted just like everyone else did. We adjusted. We've come out of it a better organization, knowing more and being able to be more proficient. And so, the pandemic that we're still trying to navigate our way through is something that has brought all of us an opportunity to be better.
Absolutely. I think I like to think about it as the pandemic has certainly been incredibly difficult, but there's been some good that's come from it, or some better ways of doing things that we can take with us forward if this ever ends.
Fingers crossed, right?
When it ends.
When it ends. That's right.
I thought we might shift a little bit to speaking about your organizational leadership and how you've done that and how you do that. Specifically thinking about how you like you have all these folks who work for you, and how do you empower them to embrace your mission and your culture, and how do you encourage them to go be out in the community beyond like what their job role is? I thought maybe we could talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I will share that our organization, just before I got there, we were really struggling. Our founding executive director had a heart for this work to feed kids, but didn't really understand the federal child nutrition programs, and so our organization was struggling. And fortunately, leadership brought in a gentleman before me, Pat Howard, who really helped to look at how we were doing what we were doing. He brought his 35 years of food and dietary management experience in the Toledo hospital system to the table and really helped to stop the bleeding. And then I was brought in really from a development perspective initially, and then quickly shifted over to a leadership position and was able to really leverage some of the relationships to raise dollars and to sound the alarm that if we're not here, this is going to be a major issue for our community. In fact, we serve about 75 to 80% of the meals that are served during out of school time to kids in our community. And so we were able to slowly but surely stop the bleeding, begin to look at our processes, try to begin to implement with the help of our staff and the input of our staff. How do we do this work? And we do this in a meaningful way, and we do it in a way that is impactful, in a way that is efficient, because we do receive reimbursement dollars, but the dollars don't cover the cost of the meals. And so that's where we have to be as creative as possible. We have to reach out to our community partners, our corporate partners, our grant funders, and make sure that they know their help means all the world, not just to connecting kids to meals, but ultimately to the kids that we serve, and obviously impacts and helps the families of those kids. And so, we just started talking about our mission and how important our mission is, and how many kids, sharing the stats with our staff about what we're doing together, and making sure that from leadership all the way to the front line, whether it's a person serving meals or packaging meals or driving the meals, my goal was to make sure that everyone understood their role and understands their role is critically important, that we can't do this work without every single person that is a part of the process. It is a process. I'm not the important because I can raise dollars, I can be in the community, I can talk about our work, but if our work is not excellent, it's not going to matter. And so, really trying to drill that home and create a culture of togetherness and awareness. And I'm really glad to say that we have an amazing culture, feel, and it's fun because I get feedback a lot of times about my servers at sites, about our drivers, about, the folks that are serving outward. And then when people come in, they're like, gosh, everyone is just so nice. Everyone is just so kind. And, it warms my heart to hear that, because that's what we endeavor to do. And so we are always looking at ways in which we can do this. And, people see my face, but I need everyone to understand it has been board leadership. It's been other leaders in my position. It's been others who serve and package the meals and drive them. It's everyone who has come together to make sure that, connecting kids to meals has the reputation that we have now. And that is that, we're a leader in the Northwest Ohio region of providing hot and healthy meals to kids during out of school time. And so in conjunction with that, the goal has been to really bring some additional training to my staff. So we, do a lot of professional development training. And then my staff is probably, if anyone's even on here, they're probably laughing, because my mantra, I have two things that I say on a very regular basis. I need you to over communicate. And then the other thing is, tell me what you need. What do you need to be successful? If you need something to be successful, I'm here. My door is open. I need an explanation, but for the most part, if you tell me that these are some of the things that you need in order to be more efficient in your work, you've got it. And it's not from a place of being irresponsible about dollars, but it is to say that we all need to understand as leaders that we don't need to just equip our employees, but empower them so that they're able to do the work. Because at the end of the day, no man's an island. We can't do this work alone. We need for our employees, we need our management, we need our peers, we need everyone to have everything they need to be successful.
Yeah, there's not, you can't be a leader and dictate every single thing that's going on. You need your people to be able to go and do what they need to do, and you need to give them the latitude to be able to do that.
Now, I admit,
so,
and my staff will tell you, I am a recovering control freak. But it's day by day, right? It's step by step. And you know, I say that jokingly. I have a level of excellence that I want us to adhere to. And so, you know, at times I may, you know, meander over to someone's desk and, you know, talk about how they plan on implementing A, B, or C. But they know that I'm here to help. I'm there as a sounding board, and you know, we just try to instill, you know, infuse throughout everyone the mindset that we want the reflection to be an excellent reflection of our organization.
I think that's something that's come through in a lot of these conversations, is that not only just empowering your employees, but making sure everybody's on the same page with how we're executing that, how we're living our vision out in the community. So people have a positive, like, you talk about connecting kids to meals to anybody in this community, and they're like, those people are so great, we love them, you know? And so it's important that everybody feels empowered to live that mission in the community. I thought we might talk a little bit about Toledo a little bit, if you're willing to do that.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. I want to share this with everybody. John Jones on Facebook said, Wendi Huntley is literally one of the best people in our region, a proven leader with passion, compassion, wisdom, and the ability to strategically connect the dots. And I think that's really, really a great thing. I wanted to make sure you heard that, Wendi.
Thank you, John Jones. That's my brother. That is my brother right there. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. It's always good to have our people around us, right?
That's right.
We need our support. We need our people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do you think is an untapped opportunity for Toledo that could like leverage and attract people to our area?
You know, Toledo is, you know, I grew up here, as you read earlier, and left for several years, almost 25 years, and then came back. And what I see that I'm excited about is the investment being made in downtown and in, you know, the areas around Toledo and in the services that are necessary in Toledo. And so I'm excited about those key investments. I'm excited about the voice that's coming from the houses, the streets, the community in Toledo. People are sharing their voices, and I'm excited about the, you know, new leadership, you know, that we see cropping up across the board in Toledo, and people being daring and just saying, look, I'm going to run for office. I want to do this. And, you know, so I think there's so many things about Toledo that make me excited about the future. I absolutely love the location. You can get places quickly. The cost of living is very, very reasonable here when you compare it to other larger cities. And when you want to do something, you know, I see a spark of entrepreneurship. And that warms my heart as an entrepreneur to know that people are really taking a hold of the opportunities to say, I want to open my own coffee shop or my own jazz club, or I want to renovate and build, you know, renovate apartments, and I want to build homes, and all of the things that people are doing in our community. I think, you know, there's this undercurrent of excitement that the pandemic stole and really dampered out, but you can see the embers of that fire catching and continuing to burn. And I believe in the next year or two, maybe three, as much as Toledo has shifted over the last 5 years and we've seen so much development, I think we're going to continue to see the evolution of the things that were thought of and the opportunities that were starting to come forth before the pandemic. And as people begin to, I think, get their feet under them again, we'll start to see a groundswell of a lot of new businesses and opportunities here in Toledo. And excited about, got to give a shout out to my friend Tammy Sherman over at Bitwise. Just the different things that are happening here make me excited because people are selecting Toledo. People are really talking about Toledo with the leadership, of our hospital systems, with Mercy Health and with ProMedica and the national presence that they have. I just think across the board, we have a lot of things to be thankful for, and we have a lot of things about which we should be excited.
I love how you said all that. I like the whole time. I'm like, yeah, Wendi, like that's what's going on in my head. I'm like, yeah, we have so many cool people in Toledo doing so many awesome things, and it's just so fun to be like around. And I think sometimes people, I don't know, people who aren't really engaged are down about Toledo. And I think there's so much cool. Just like open your eyes a little bit. You can see the great things that are happening here.
Yeah. And Nicole, I don't know if you knew this, but last year an article issued identified Toledo as one of the senior destinations, like a great place for seniors to retire. And so, when
That's
I think
awesome.
again of all of the promise, that's another component to it. They might not like this weather versus being a snowbird in Florida.
Yeah, hard to convince people that all this snow is great unless you're like super into snow. But yes,
that's right.
Yes, Toledo is an amazing community.
Yes.
I feel really fortunate to live here and to be, raising our family here. I'm looking back down. We have these questions to everybody else. We have these questions. I'm trying to catch up where we are.
And my dog is over here like, pay attention to me. Of course, she's been asleep all morning. And it's just like, what in the world?
As soon as you got something to do, those dogs and those kids and everybody's like chirping at your feet, of course.
Absolutely.
Oh goodness. And now I lost my ear pod. Sorry, guys. Okay, so I thought maybe we could talk a little bit. Are you good with if we move on to like some of the more personal questions?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Great. So I was getting some messages from some friends who know you as Wendi from Connecting Kids to Meals and not as Wendi the lawyer. And I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about what's your story? How'd you get to where you are?
Yeah, I had a former life, as they say, as an attorney, and really enjoyed that work, but came back to Toledo not quite 10 years ago. My father was ill at the time with a longstanding medical issue, and he passed shortly after I returned. And then unfortunately, my mom passed. And so I'm really grateful that, I had an opportunity to come back and spend some increased quality time. I was never very far away. I was always here, visiting on a fairly regular basis from Columbus, but that gave me an opportunity to just really spend some quality time with both of them. And so, coming back here, it's just been great again to see all of the excitement around Toledo and everything that's happening with Toledo, and to have an opportunity to use my background as a lawyer, and I still have my firm, so I still, pick and choose a few projects to work on. But to use my experience as a lawyer and the training of thinking, 360 about every situation that you're faced with, that has helped me to really be a better leader, I believe. And it helps me to really try to empathize and put myself in the shoes of our partners, the shoes of the kids that we serve, the shoes of my employees, the shoes of my board members, anyone, our partners, funding partners, anyone that's attached to our organization. My goal is to make sure that they understand the value, they understand, how much we appreciate what they're doing for us, whether it's as an employee or volunteer or, funding. And to make sure that they see that the results of what they're doing really matters, and it has an impact. And so, my career has been vast. I'm a former college athlete, and so, I think playing sports has been one of the critical things that has happened in my life to help me to understand teamwork. And so, understanding that you've got to make sure that people are in position to be successful comes from my sports background, and teamwork and ethic, hard work, and, just all of the things that are a part of sports, have become things that I lean on in order to make sure that at least I give my best. We're not all of us, no one's perfect. No one's going to get it right all the time. But I think that the goal is really to just go home every day and to go to bed knowing you gave your best that day.
That's like all we can do, right? Like your own personal best. How you show up, are you showing up as your own personal best?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
No doubt.
LT, one of the things we do in our programs at Leadership Toledo is providing a lot of opportunity for both self-reflection and like developing self-awareness, like how you react in certain situations, or what your kind of pressure points are, things like that. How have you been able to develop that sort of self-awareness as you've progressed throughout your career?
One of the things that early on, in watching other leaders, one of the things that I always wanted to do is to be approachable. I never wanted to be a leader that, people felt like they could not, access or come and talk to, or, sit down and say, look, this is what's going on, and this is why I dropped the ball on this. And so for me, that requires me to, continually look at how do I handle situations, to be self-aware of, my weaknesses, my strengths, and to make sure that I'm always trying to make sure there's balance associated with that. And so when I look for, hiring other people, I'm always tending to look at what are my weaknesses so that, we can be a good complement. But I think the most important thing that I've done that has served me so well is to ask those closest to me, what can I do to be better? A better businesswoman, a better person, just better in general. You know me, tell me. And sometimes that's been tough, but at the end of the day, if you're not willing to receive truth, you're not going to be able to grow. And my goal is to grow every single day, get better every single day, and to continue to take this organization to higher levels every day.
Yeah, I love that. I was like trying to think of like how to merge that to their next question, but I think that's like such a perfect, you said that so perfectly. If you're, let's talk about your people. You mentioned you got people around you. I mean, that's so important, that people around you who are like not afraid to call you on your stuff when you need to be called on, or help you grow, or are your cheerleading section in the comments, right? Like, it's good to have those people around you. So what are some people who like inspire you, help you grow, mentor you? Like, who are those people for you?
So you're going to get me in trouble, so I'm not falling for it. I'm not going to start naming names.
I want the whole list. I want the list.
What I'll tell you is this. I learned something a long time ago when I first became an attorney. My friends, friends or family or people that needed something, they would continually, come to me, and I'm a corporate lawyer, right? So they would say, yeah, I got this, real estate matter that I need you to look at. And it's like, I don't do real estate work. I mean, there are different lanes and different specialties. And so, I learned to really try to identify mentors and, folks that I admire for certain things. So whether it's, help me to be able to navigate through this board situation, help me to navigate through, this relationship scenario, help me navigate through just this challenge as a leader in my organization. I have different people that I go to for, the different things. And so in addition to my friends that, predominantly are in Columbus, but, I have a number of very, very close and dear friends here, and mentors and people with whom I work on projects and just talk. I think you have to make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that can help you, again, in your time of crisis, but help push you to a higher level. And I am so grateful to say that I have people, I have my people that all
you have your people.
And they all do that. They cheer for me. They encourage me. They let me cry on their shoulders, because yes, there are times when I need to cry on someone's shoulder, and just continue to help me to, again, be the best version of Wendi that I can be.
It's so important to have those people around. I was really hoping you were gonna name names, but I'll let you get away with that, Wendi, this time. We have a really great question in the chat from Melissa Westmeyer. She's saying, Leadership Toledo, thank you for the compliment, Melissa. Leadership Toledo does a phenomenal job around engaging the youth of our community. Wendi, do you have recommendations around how to get and keep youth involved in organization? Like, how do we get kids involved in things?
Yeah, that's a really tough question, and it's a difficult thing for I think our community, because I think that right now our youth are a bit without hope. They're really feeling the brunt of not just the pandemic, but just life. Life is tough. When you're young, life is tough. And I think one of the things that we need to do as a community is to really determine, how can we mentor and really provide a listening ear to some of our youth, and determine how kids are actually being impacted, and then respond in a way that isn't just checking the box. I will tell you, Nicole, we have a lot of checking the box going on in our community, our state, and our country, and our world. And when you look at some of the things that people are doing, it's not designed to succeed. So when you look at things that are being created for youth, we have to look at it from the perspective of, we're creating this for youth, but we need to make sure we have the supports in place to make sure that our kids are going to be successful in whatever the endeavor is. And I think thinking from A to Z, instead of just thinking, oh yeah, how can we create something that, we think will attract kids? No, it's not about attracting kids. It's about retaining kids and moving them to the next level. How do we do that? I don't have the answer, but I think we have to approach what we do from that perspective, as opposed to, let's just create some things for youth to do.
Yeah, it can't just be, let's have 700 activities for them.
Yeah.
How are we enriching their lives? How are we listening? How are we walking alongside them, and not just like, okay, hi, you're here, I checked you in today.
Yeah. And supporting families, because you can support the child or the kid, but if the parent's struggling, the kid is going back into a struggling environment, an environment that's stressed, an environment. So this is going to take a whole community to really help lift up our kids and families.
Yeah, I think when we think about the effect, you're speaking of this earlier, of the pandemic, it has just exacerbated so many struggles that people were already facing, and has just made them worse. And as this continues to go on, it's hard to maintain optimism. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm just looking through the chat real quick. I'm going to ask Wendi one more question, and then if anybody else has other things you'd like me to ask her, I'll make sure you send them here. What advice do you have for people who are listening today? People are coming there, they're like, Wendi, what can you tell me? How do I live my life? Like, what advice can you give our listeners today?
So I've got the 3 C's for you, and maybe a few folks who might have heard me talk at Dr. Clint Longenecker's Leadership Summit at UT may have heard some of these things, but 3 C's. The first one, competence. You have to ensure that you have competence. If you're in a leadership role, you have to know your subject matter. You have to know it inside and out, and you have to continue to do the research. You have to continue to read. You have to continue to talk with other people, continue to network. You have to be extremely and extraordinarily competent. Beyond that, you have to keep learning all the time. The second, you have a vision, and so you have to be able to understand how to carry that vision forward. And so when you're a visionary, you're a leader, you have to have competence. Secondly, you have to have courage. If you don't have courage to step out there on faith, you don't have courage to step where there is no stepping stone, you might not be cut out to be a leader, because you have to take some risks sometimes. You have to understand that where you go, others are going to follow. You're trailblazing, you're creating a path. And it takes an inordinate amount of courage. And it takes courage to be humble. It takes courage to not get caught up in the arrogance of being the leader. You have to recognize, as I continue to do, recognize the people around you that help make something successful, the organization successful. You have to do that. And you have to operate, obviously, with character and integrity. So when you talk about the courage, it takes courage to do that sometimes, right? In this world, we're sometimes not sure what's the truth, and you got to reach for the truth, and you got to stand on the truth. And you have to know that character and integrity absolutely matter. And last, but certainly not least, of equal importance is care. You have to care about your employees. Your employees are your best asset. People talk about money, they talk about equipment, technology. No, it's your people, your employees. And if you're talking about your family situation, it's your people. If you're talking about your friends, it's your people. Your people are your best asset. But you also have to care about others. You have to go out of your way to volunteer with other organizations, to send a check, to support organizations, to do all of the things you need to do in order to care about others in the community and do something about that. And then last but certainly not least, you must care about yourself. If you have vacation time, you earned it. Please take your vacations. Take time for you. You gotta take time, because if you're not taking that time to get refreshed and rebuilt and re-energized, you're not gonna last long. You're not gonna last long at all. And so read, and as I do, golf, and do whatever it is that you like, but you gotta make time. And you cannot say, I just don't have time, because the days will click off, the weeks will click off, the months will click off, and the years will click off. And you will turn around 8 years later and say, where did the time go? You have to prioritize you so that you can be the best version of you. And I just encourage people, think of those 3 C's: competence, courage, and care.
That, I mean, what else? Yes, yes. I love how you said it takes courage to be humble. I thought that was, I think as we get better at things that we're doing, it's easy to not be humble, right? Like that's kind of what society is like, yeah, go stand on the podium and take the accolades and all the things. But to really be humble and recognize everybody around you who's doing the work so that you can do the work, I think is really important.
Absolutely.
We are getting just a lot of, in the chat, a lot of praise for you, Wendi, and thanks for all that you do in the community, and everyone's just really resonating with the things that you're saying. And so I appreciate you so very much for coming and sharing your wisdom. If I gave you a second to plug Connecting Kids to Meals, if somebody's listening and they're like, I want to volunteer with them, I want to give them my money, I want to see them do 800 and 900,000 meals this year, how can people get involved?
Sure. ConnectingKidsToMeals.org. We are always wanting people to, number one, talk about the problem. People don't know that there's a childhood problem issue. I've given you some stats today, so I've made it really easy for you. Talk about the problem, talk about what we're doing. We're not the only one. We just happen to be the largest provider. Then I need you to consider giving a donation. Every dollar that you provide for our organization actually helps us to provide 2 healthy meals. You provide it, so it's $50, 100 meals, $1,000, 2,000 meals. Whatever it is, every dollar helps us to provide healthy meals to kids in need. And I shared with you the stats, so we know we have tens of thousands of kids in need. And then absolutely volunteering. Visit our website, sign up, contact us, let us know. We do packing events with partners where, they have their employees come and they help us pack our weekend meals. We take it to them. Groups can come to us. We just need help doing this work. We don't get to 875,000, 776,000 meals doing it just with the employees of Connecting Kids to Meals. It's really everybody that's involved, and our volunteers play a pivotal role in what we do. And so we're so grateful for each and every one of them that give of their time to help us to do this work. So
Oh my goodness.
connectingkidstomeals.org.
Yes, everybody go there. Let's figure out how we can help these hungry kids get food and help Wendi and her amazing team do the work that is so very much needed in our community. Thank you just so very much, Wendi. I was so excited when you agreed to talk with us today, and I'm so glad we did this. This recording will live on our Facebook, and we'll get it on our YouTube page. So feel free, if you're listening today and you're like, this was so good, feel free to direct people that way to come and hear the wise words of Wendi.
And, I do want to thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for coordinating this. Thank you for Leadership Toledo. And, you asked, what people can do to support Connecting Kids to Meals, but, it's also about supporting Leadership Toledo and making sure that you're supporting, that people in our community are supporting the amazing work that is being done. This organization is helping to raise our future leaders and to give them nuggets of knowledge and the skills and the training that they need in order to be strong for the future and strong advocates and leaders in the future. So, kudos to you all and everything that you guys are doing. And so I encourage people to consider, doing whatever they can do to support Leadership Toledo, because we absolutely, appreciate you and thank you again for the opportunity to talk about Connecting Kids to Meals today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Wendi, for saying that. We feel so fortunate to work in the space that we work in and to be able to work with so many great organizations. I personally, for those who don't know me, I didn't introduce myself at the start of this. I realized I'm the program director at Leadership Toledo, and I get to work with our high school kids, and we get to do really cool things with them. And it's because of community support and community partnerships. And that feels like a super natural way to say to all of our friends listening, Leadership Toledo both organizes and benefits from Restaurant Week Toledo here in town. And that's coming up here at the end of the month, February 28th through March 6th is RWT. And you can go to restaurantweektoledo.com. And on there, you can see our list of the 36 local restaurants and coffee shops and bars that we're working with. And what will happen is you can order off their special RWT menus, or you can order anything off their regular menu. And portions of the proceeds from that week come back to benefit our tuition-free, high-impact youth program. So thanks for giving me a chance to plug Restaurant Week there, Wendi. I really appreciate it. I see Aaron's mentioning the kickoff party. Unfortunately, that's already sold out, but we would love to have you come out and join us for during Restaurant Week. Go out and support our local restaurants. We could definitely use your support. We're going to have a passport that's going to be launched next week that you guys are going to be just really excited about. So friends, thank you for joining us today. There is a link to a jot form for some feedback that you can give us that we would love. We really do read all of the feedback that we get, all the surveys that we get. We really do read them, and they inform our decision making around programs. There's also a link to Restaurant Week Toledo, and we have one more community leadership series. This is one that for this program year. This is one we were supposed to have earlier in the fall, but unfortunately, it's with Jason Kushma and Aaron Baker from the Toledo Library. Amazing local leaders that I'm excited to share with you guys about. We had to reschedule because when we originally had that planned, that was when they were having their cybersecurity issues over there at the library. But that will be next month, the second Thursday of March. I think the first Thursday is Restaurant Week. But thank you everybody for joining us today, and go out, go be in your community a little bit. Thank you all.